Sometimes you feel like you've been praying forever. You've done everything right, you've stayed faithful, you've waited, you've cried, and you've wondered why hasn't it happened yet? Why hasn't God opened the door? Why hasn't that promise been fulfilled? Why is the miracle still taking so long? You start to think maybe God forgot, maybe the promise wasn't meant for you. But what if I told you? This wait, this silence, this delay is the answer itself. Because sometimes God's silence is not His absence. It's His preparation. And that's what you're walking through right now. A divine setup for something that can't happen until you become who it requires you to be. Before we go deeper, tell me in the comments, what are you waiting for God to do in your life? A breakthrough, love, healing, a new beginning. Write it down, because as you listen, you'll start to understand why the wait has purpose. See, when God makes you wait, He's not punishing you, He's positioning you. But I know that doesn't make it easier. You see people around you getting married, getting promoted, building homes, traveling the world, and you wonder, God, when will it be my turn? But what if your turn isn't late, it's being refined? What if what you call delay, God calls development? Every season of waiting carries a divine assignment. It's where faith is forged, where trust is tested, where character is shaped. Because truthfully, waiting is not about what you're waiting for. It's about who you're becoming while you wait. Think about it. When you plant a seed, you don't dig it up every day to see if it's growing. You trust the process. You water it, nurture it, protect it, because you know growth takes time in the dark. The same happens in your life. God plants something in you, a dream, a desire, a destiny, but before it blooms, He buries it, because every blessing needs roots before it can rise, and those roots grow in silence. You can't see them, but they're there. You may feel forgotten, but you're being grounded. You may feel hidden, but you're being prepared. Because if God gave you what you're praying for too soon, you might not be ready to hold it. Some blessings can only be carried by the version of you that comes after the waiting. Faith isn't about believing. God can. It's about trusting Him even when He doesn't. When doors stay closed, when prayers seem unanswered, when life feels paused, that's when trust becomes real. You see, trust doesn't grow when everything is working. Trust grows when nothing makes sense, and you still choose to believe. There's a story in every believer's journey. The moment you realize God's timing isn't slow, it's sacred. Because God doesn't operate on your schedule. He operates on His strategy. What feels like a pause is often a part of His plan. What feels like a setback is usually a setup. You wake up every day hoping this will be the day something changes. Maybe you scroll through your phone, seeing people living the life you've been praying for. Maybe it's a relationship, a career, or peace in your heart. You whisper, God, when? But instead of an answer, there's just silence. And that silence can hurt. But silence is not rejection. Silence is refinement. God is working on details you can't see. You're thinking in days. He's thinking in destinies. You want it now, but He's shaping it to last. He's protecting you from things you don't even know could harm you. There are times when God delays you because He's developing the people and places meant to receive you. The door you're supposed to walk through might not even be built yet. So He keeps you where you are until everything aligns perfectly. That's not a delay. That's divine synchronization. Sometimes you think you're waiting on God, but really, God is waiting on you. Waiting for your heart to soften, for your spirit to surrender, for your patience to mature, because blessings don't come to the restless. They come to the ready. If God gave you the blessing when you were still bitter, still impatient, still comparing, you might lose it. But after the waiting, you appreciate it differently. You protect it, you value it. You understand it was worth every tear, every prayer, every silent night. Maybe right now you're in a job that feels stuck, in a relationship that feels uncertain, in a dream that seems delayed. And you're asking, why me, God? But the truth is, He's not just preparing the blessing, He's preparing you to handle it, without losing yourself. Breakthrough doesn't happen when you push harder. It happens when you trust deeper. Faith says, even if I can't see it, I'll still believe it. It's that quiet voice inside that says, God, I don't understand this waiting, but I know it's not wasted. Every major blessing in the Bible came after a waiting season. Joseph waited years in prison before becoming a ruler. David waited years after being anointed before sitting on the throne. Abraham waited decades for a promise. Even Jesus waited 30 years before stepping into his ministry. If waiting was necessary for them, it's necessary for you, because waiting doesn't mean God is withholding. It means He's weaving. He's aligning people, moments, and opportunities in ways that will one day make perfect sense. The story He's writing for you isn't late. It's layered, and yes, waiting hurts. It breaks your patience, it tests your hope, it exposes your fears. But it also strengthens your faith, it purifies your intentions, and it brings you closer to God in a way that comfort never could. Sometimes God delays your answer to make sure your faith is in Him, not in the outcome. Because if you only love Him when He gives you what you want, that's not faith, that's transaction. True faith says, even if you don't, I'll still worship. Even if it takes years, I'll still trust you. In everyday life, you'll see the test of waiting everywhere. That moment when your business isn't growing yet, when the person you love hasn't come back, when your prayers seem unanswered. That's when God whispers, will you trust me here too? He's teaching you that waiting isn't wasted time. It's sacred time. It's where your spiritual muscles grow, where you learn patience, gratitude, humility, and awareness. You start noticing the little things, the blessings you once overlooked. You learn to live in the now, not in the when. Because when you stop asking, when will it happen, and start saying, God, thank you, even now, something shifts inside you. You stop being anxious, and you start being aligned one day. You'll look back and realize, if it had happened earlier, it would have broken you. If it had come faster, it wouldn't have lasted. But because you waited, because you trusted, because you stayed faithful, you'll receive it in fullness, not in fragments. So don't rush the process that's building your promise. Don't let impatience rob you of preparation. God is not ignoring you. He's investing in you. Every silent season is still sacred in His plan. And when that blessing finally comes, when the promise finally unfolds, you'll understand the power of divine timing. You'll look back and say, now I see why He made me wait. So today, if you're waiting for love, for healing, for purpose, for breakthrough, don't lose heart. Your waiting is working for you. The God who promised hasn't forgotten. He's not done. He's still writing your story, and the next chapter will make it all make sense. Trust His process. Embrace the delay, because when it finally happens, you won't just thank Him for the blessing, you'll thank Him for the waiting that made you ready for it. And if this message speaks to your heart, Type "I'm trusting God's timing" in the comments. Because this moment, right now, might be the turning point your faith has been waiting for. Remember, waiting is not the end of your story. It's the beginning of something beautiful being born in silence. Keep believing, keep praying, and keep trusting. Because the God who made you wait is the same God who's about to make it worth it.